r/ask Reddit. What should you never do in the United States? Try and bribe a police officer. Not just bribery. Apparently in some countries, if you get a ticket for something you can actually pay the fine to the police officer on the spot. NFL kicker and Raiders legend Sebastian Janikowski was arrested and almost deported back to Poland for trying to bribe a police officer, until he convinced the court that he just thought that's how it legitimately works. I've been to places where you can pay the policeman for a traffic violation. For some reason it's about half the amount if you take the ticket than pay officially. Things that make you go HMMMMMM. Get out of the vehicle during a traffic stop. I did not know this. Here in Australia we are perfectly okay to get out of the vehicle unless the cop says otherwise. Man, I could never imagine getting out for any reason if I got stopped. Wow, this blew up. I took a nap and came back to see a lot of people feel the same, and it's terrifying. Once I rolled through a stop sign in front of my college dorm and had parked and was out of my car before the cop pulled up behind me and screamed for me to get back in the car. I hadn't seen him at all and the lights weren't on until I was already out of my car. He was so angry and was asking why I got out of my car. Cut in line. I've been in countries, example, Spain, where lines queues are more of a vague suggestion of who goes first. This is not true if you cut in line in the US. Cutting in line in the US can literally lead to violence. Hey buddy, what's your problem? Yo, the line start back there. Hitch his thumb in direction. If a cop pulls you over, don't get out of the car. Place your hands on the wheel and wait, they will come to you. Also, turn the vehicle's ignition off. Remove your sunglasses. Turn off the radio. Roll down your windows, particularly if they are tinted. Turn on the interior lights at night. And don't reach for anything in the vehicle without being asked to do so, and even then announcing your intentions. My rental paperwork? Yes, it's in the center console. Edit. By the way, all this and more I learned very early in my driving career from a great book called A Speeder's Guide to Avoiding Tickets by James M. Egan, a retired New York State Trooper. It also has other safety applications as well. All these things are designed to calm down Officer Neckvi as he's referred to in the book. The book seems to be out of print, but it's well worth a read if you can find it. My parents told me this. First time I got pulled over I did it and the cop said something like, "Gee, you must get pulled over a lot, huh?" Don't talk to your wife about trying New York pizza in Arabic on a plane to New York. Why not? I heard New York pizza is the bomb. I'd give it a 9/11. Dunt is considered a very vulgar word here that would be highly inappropriate to say casually. Duck me. I'd be proper ducked then. Why did I just automatically read this in an Australian accent? Don't try to cheat the IRS. They will duck your life into oblivion. There are 3 things all wise men fear: the sea in a storm, a night with no moon, and a jilted IRS. The IRS did what the FBI and no other agencies ever could: put Al Capone in prison and overthrow FIFA's leadership. To this day I'm convinced that if Osama bin Laden tried to cheat the feds with taxes, they'd have found and captured him within a month after their accountants verified the money trail. At least in Tennessee you should never say anything unkind about Dolly Parton. Thanks for the awards. I mean, you shouldn't in general. She's a lovely woman. Dolly is so cool. When inducted into the Rock Hall of Fame, she openly said she didn't deserve it because she wasn't a rock artist. Rock Hall of Fame was like, too bad. You're in, so Dolly makes a rock album. Say the N-word. I was overseas and a guy in a bar asked if people in the US disliked black people, but he did not say black people. I suggested that he not say that word in the future. Ralphie, black people. Only I didn't say black people. I said the word, the big one, the queen mother of dirty words. Engage with someone acting like a crazy person on the road. They might shoot you. This is not exaggerated. I live in a really safe area and we have had a few horrible road rage shooting cases over the past few years. Had a cousin get followed to a gas station by a guy he didn't even realize he cut off. The guy came and hit him in the face with a wrench while was pumping gas. I always get nervous now if someone I'm riding with starts to escalate a road interaction. Think that you can pee in an empty alley on your way home from the bars. A surprisingly large percentage of my European acquaintances have had the great experience of spending a few hours early morning hours in the drunk tank in various American cities, because it's really not that big of deal in most of Europe. I'd add that it's illegal to consume alcohol in most public spaces, sidewalks, parks, in much of the US, exceptions, New Orleans, beer/wine in Denver parks. The downtown section of Savannah too. I forget exactly what the area is called. The historic districts maybe? Public spitting isn't usually well received. The average American does not usually enjoy talking politics in their frequented public spaces. Assume public transport is timely, light up a cigarette without knowing local laws to the space. There are places you can't smoke a cigarette other than like the obvious places, like a town or something. Well, nowhere indoors and most outdoor public places. Pretty sure it's free game for the most part after that. Do not run or move fast and unpredictably when stopped by cops. Sorry, reading this as a non-American is so weird. It's like you're talking about what to do if you come across a bear. Have you not seen them? Our cops are similar to bears. They just have guns instead. Don't take pictures or record videos of strangers' children. I've had to warn many people coming over from Asia about this. Some have ignored me and it has led to screaming and threats. Genuinely curious. In other cultures, when might someone do this? Someone in China literally handed me their baby and took a picture of me with it. Everything happened so fast and I was so confused. I didn't want the baby or my picture taken. Assume everyone has a gun. Assume that everyone has a gun. Don't base your entire opinion and generalization of the country just from one part or particular region. Cultures, values, and people are so different all over the US. Yeah, LA is just a wee bit different than Alabama. Unless you mean Lower Alabama, then LA is, well, Alabama. Don't ever get a payday loan. Are these still legal in the States? I got stuck in the loop for nearly 2 years in my early 20s and the only thing that saved my ass was that the laws on payday loans changed in Canada. Never duck with Floridaman. He will beat you with experience every time. Experience in what? Yes. Stabbing a spouse with a squirrel. Blackface. I know this seems obvious, but it's often much less offensive in a lot of other countries. But absolutely do not do it here. You can look up the history of slavery, minstrel shows and the banjo if you are wondering why. Oh boy, being in Spain for Three Kings Day was quite the culture shock for my wee American brain. To be fair, most Spanish people would agree that Balthazar should be played by a black guy, and most cities actually do that. But since there's parades all around Spain, and black people are a big chunk of the Spanish population like they are in USA, it's often not an option. It's sort of a running joke that you can tell how big the budget was from who's playing Balthazar. Don't get out of the car after police asks you to stop. My old chemistry professor made that mistake on holiday. They pulled a gun on him. Then his brother-in-law had to talk to the cops to let him out. I remember that too. Get injured sick without insurance. You're honestly better off just dying. The worst thing is you can't even choose just dying. If something happens and emergency is called, they'll take you to the hospital against your conscious consent and charge you. That would really piss me off. If something happens and someone decides to save me, don't charge me for it. Even if you don't have insurance, just go to the ER. They have to treat you under law. By the time you get your insanely high bill to pay, you'll be back home in wherever you're from. Just ignore the bill. Unless you're stiffing them for an extremely stupid amount of money, they won't bother trying to get a judgment and trying to domesticate that in your home jurisdiction. Nor should you really feel bad about it like you're stealing or anything like that. You're not really. You're just operating in the system we Americans have built for ourselves. We want it this way. As a society, we have vigorously resisted any attempt to build a fairer, cheaper, more efficient and more equitable system. We have a system where unnecessary third, fourth and fifth parties extract huge amounts of profit by acting as middlemen between healthcare providers and healthcare recipients. These profiteers of human misery don't offer any additional benefits to the transaction. They're parasites that just suck as money out of it as they can. And guess what? Every once in a while, they lose money. Nobody should cry about when they do, either. In fact, the money they lose the closer we might get to removing them from our healthcare system by building one that works better. You know, like every other modern country has done. Seriously, if you're visiting and get sick, please go to the ER. Don't die because you're scared of the bill. Walk onto someone's property without permission or knowing the owner. It's cool in many places around the world to be able to go wandering through the countryside. It is not cool in the US. You might end up getting arrested, held at gunpoint, or shot at if you're really unlucky. Not tip at sit down restaurant edit. You guys can be mad at it all you want. It's still a big cultural faux pas in the US. Call a mixed person colored. It doesn't mean the same thing as it does in Southeast Africa. Call any POC, especially black people colored. Get sick. Call an ambulance. Getting a bill later for $3,000. Happy holidays mfa. Try get some chic filler on a Sunday when you're hungover. Get to the Waffle House instead. Say hi Jack to your friend Jack in the airport or airplane. My son Jack thinks he's hilarious saying hi Jack to himself in airports. Our last flight had Angry Birds on the seat back entertainment. Mum, look at the bomb explode. The bomb mum. It's never too late to abort. Burn down the White House. Yep, that only worked for the British in 1812. We've rescinded that tourist activity since then. It worked for the British in 1814 during the War of 1812 and then it also worked for some shitty electrical work in 1929 that caught fire. When a policeman asks you for your documents, flirt with him and tell him, try to take it away. I tried it. Then I'll lay in handcuffs and without documents. Reminds me of the video of a young lady saying I thought you didn't give tickets to pretty girls. To which the officer replied we don't and proceeds to hand her the ticket. Edit to drop a link. https://yahoo bvnhjwfke. There's a well-known prohibition against terrible flirting. Try to take it away. WTF. You deserve jail for that. Grab your license a bit too quickly when pulled over. Don't get out of your car unless asked when stopped by the police. My Balkan friends all just hop out to talk to the cops when pulled over in that part of the world. If you did that in the US, you'd probably get shot. My buddy came here from Sri Lanka about 2 years ago. He was pulled over late one night and immediately got out of the car to talk to the cop. The cop freaked out and pulled his gun out. I don't think he pointed it at him, but it sure as hell scared the shit out of him. Skip a chance to have some good and tasty smoked BBQ. I hear murder is frowned upon. Visit Ohio. Trust me, I'm from Ohio and you don't want to come here. And luckily, it was Cedar Point. Don't assume because you visited NYC that defines the rest of the US. Be a king and use the Tea Act of 1773 to give special consideration to the British East India Company and the colonies. Apparently getting out of your car during a traffic stop. Don't break into anyone's house. Fastest way to get shot in the face. Go to Florida for the beaches and forget about the wildlife. Black bears, gatters, panthers, hogs, etc. Walk late at night down Martin Luther King Boulevard in any big city. Don't underestimate the size of the US. Apparently some people think it can take only a couple hours to go to locations states away. Think that an elected official has your best interests at heart. Talk openly about politics. Go to Times Square on New Year's. The experience is so not worth it. It's romanticized for some reason. Jaywalk. That shit is apparently illegal. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.